Hello, it's Oren Prunken, and today I want to tell you a bit about what I am up to. To lead this off, I just wanted to give you a bit of a story, and you may have heard this before, but I just want to give that as context to start this off. So in 2012, I brought an event called Startup Weekend to Adelaide. Now, Startup Weekend is a 54-hour event that happens on a weekend. People come in on a Friday night and they pitch a product service idea, usually in the mobile web tech space. And then they form teams around that idea. They go out and build a product, sell it to people, and then come back on the Sunday evening and pitch to all of their peers what they have done. Now, back in 2012, I was in charge of marketing that event. And at the time, I had no contacts, I had no credibility and no influence within the new venture space within Adelaide. And even anywhere, I just was coming into it new. And a lot of the people that I spoke with about getting this event up and running, including ticket sales, laughed at me. I even had one person who said I couldn't get more than 20 people in a room, especially for Adelaide, because Adelaide is so small. And I said that they were wrong, and I bet them $100 that I could get more than 20 people in the room. The venue we used was Microsoft's office in Adelaide when they had an office here, and their capacity for the room was 80. It was actually a little bit under that, but we sold out with 80 tickets. And the funny thing is that person has not come good on that bet. So I tease them about that every time I see them. So there is a saying that says the first time you do something and you're successful, you're lucky, and then if you can do it again, you're actually good. The second time around shows you actually know what you're talking about. So I was in charge of marketing for that event for the subsequent 5 events, and we sold out every single one of those. And the thing is, I was able to do that without spending any money and virtually no time at all. And I've gone through this process before, but again, here's the process that I took. 5 steps. The first one was working out who exactly my ideal customer was, or the person that I'd like to attend that event. The second step was working out where that ideal customer was, or who actually had them, or who was a gatekeeper to that person. And it really came down to 2 different ways or 2 different channels that I could reach those people, either through paid or through earned channels. And although paid is optional, I chose a lot of earned channels because I didn't have any marketing budget to go out and purchase ads, and I didn't have a lot of time either. So then the third step is, once I knew where those people were or who had them, was to go out and add value to those people, either the people that had them, the gatekeepers, or the people themselves, the people that were my ideal customers. And then once I had added value, going and asking for value in return, and that was in the form of ticket sales. And then I just repeated steps 3 and 4 indefinitely. And that was the final step, step number 5, repeating it. And that whole process I have done over the years multiple times successfully. And the thing is, it's always been done manually. I've always had to put the hard yards in and the time to go through those 5 steps manually to get it all done. And I don't like doing things manually because I think there are better ways to use my time. So what I've done over the years is design out some software that could automate and speed this process up. And I've actually gone out and built a beta version of this software. And it really, out of those 5 steps, automates and speeds up step number 2 dramatically. And step number 2, again, is where are your customers? So finding out where they are, or finding out who actually has your customers. And that's what this software goes out and does. So really the goal for that step is to get a list. It doesn't really matter what form it is, but a list of who has your ideal customers or where those ideal customers are. And in the past, I've always got a whiteboard or a bit of paper, or just put out a Word document and typed all of those, or wrote all of those out. And just having that list is the ultimate goal of what you're trying to do with that step number 2. And what I've done with this software is I've developed a proprietary algorithm that goes out to all of the major platforms. So I've talked about this before. There's 7.2 billion humans on the planet, and they're all doing stuff. You don't need to go out and create leads. You just have to go in and tap into this big river of life that people were doing things, going about their daily activities, and pull them out with a fishing rod and a hook and some bait. So I've actually built this proprietary algorithm that goes and searches all of these big streams, these big rivers that I'm talking about by analogy. In other words, platforms where these people congregate. And it goes out and is able to find who these people are and who has them. And it just doesn't work for one type of ideal customer. It works for any and all, and an infinite combination of different ideal customers. I'm going to kind of show you what that looks like for just some examples. And the other thing that I really want to show you is that sometimes this can seem a little bit difficult or time consuming, and it really isn't. There's probably only really 6 things you need to do, and it's really easy and really quick. The first one is simply just logging into the software. A step before that, I've discounted, is setting up an account, but really that's neither here nor there. The first step, real step in using this, is logging in. And then the second one is adding your search criteria. And I've talked about this before, but all you really need to know is the 4 different factors of who your ideal customer is. And you're actually going to get this from your market research. So the ones that really matter are the geographics. Are they geographically located anywhere? And that's an optional input. And then the second one is, what is their demographics or their interests or their behaviors? And I put them all into the category of keywords. So you only really need one or other of these input boxes, but it really comes back to knowing those 4 factors of who your customer is. And again, as I said, you're going to get this from your market research. Or if you've already done market research, you should know all of these off the top of your head, and you can do multiple searches within this screen. All you do is then hit submit, and then you sit back and wait for the results. There's a lot of computing power that goes behind this proprietary algorithm. So it takes just a little bit of time to go out and compute and populate, because there's a lot of things it needs to do. And once it's done, all you have to do is click on the left-hand side of the menu, which one of those rivers or streams of life, aka platforms, that you'd like to review results of where your customers are or who has those customers. And then once you've clicked on one of those, the main screen populates with all of the critical information about who that customer is. I beg your pardon, about where that customer is and or who has that customer, or who has access to reaching that customer on your behalf. Once you've reviewed those results, then you hit download, and it pops up as a CSV file that you can then use for analysis. And again, that's what I said, the goal is just to get a list of where your ideal customers are and or who has access to those ideal customers. And that's simply it. And then you can go through the menu again and download as many or as little of those as you want. And then from there, you can go out and do your analysis, although it does come up with quite a few key statistics about if they are going to have access or access to the people, your ideal customers in there. So you don't really need to do much analysis beyond that. You just need to, simply the analysis you need to do is a yes or no decision if you'd like to then move on to the next step in the process, which is again, number 3, as I said, adding value to them. This software doesn't cover that, but it gets you to the point where you can go out and add value to them. And that really leads us on to the next thing is, how do you, what do you do next? Like, what do you actually, once you know if it's a yes or no answer, how do you how do you add value? And it simply is just going about reaching out to that person that has access to your ideal customers. And it really looks like the following. All you do is go and connect with them, you friend with, you befriend them, you subscribe to them, you opt in, you follow them on either social media, through email, or through snail mail. They're really the 3 different ways you should be reaching out to them. And it's really just a follower, connect, a friend, a subscriber, an opt-in. And then that really kicks you off into that third step, which is offering value to them. And really briefly, all you are trying to do is help them out before you ask for anything in return. Option one is to go and help them out by purchasing an ad through their platform or purchasing their product. And the other thing that always works really well is just reaching out to them and helping them by sending them information or links or anything like that, and building a relationship with them so they know who you are, they like you, and then they trust you. So purchasing an ad or a product from them does the same thing, but again, it is an optional task that you need to do with this. And that is simply all you need to do with this software. It makes the whole process really quick and really easy, and it automates and speeds up the whole process for you. So I'd love to know, do you think this will work for you? And if you have any questions about this, and if you'd like access to the beta software. Until we talk next time, I'd love you to hit me back with some feedback, and then until then, I'll talk to you later. Goodbye.